The non-duality police got me again. A couple of videos ago, I was discussing sound, and I was describing tuning into hearing, the process of hearing or the experience of hearing. And someone commented that using the term hearing could be misleading. And the reference is to the Bahya Sutta, where Buddha says, in reference to the heard, there's only the heard. In reference to the seen, there's only the seen. And the point was made that talking about seeing is different than talking about the seen, in that seeing suggests a process. A process suggests someone or something that is undertaking that process, some sort of distance from the seen. Now, it certainly can be taken that way, but I just want to point out a few things about this way of pointing and why I do it. So to start from the beginning, when I'm talking about the sense fields, when we're talking about direct experience, I'm talking about what's right in front of your face. So when you look out and see that, whatever that is, that's all I'm talking about. Nothing added to it, without mental overlays, without labels, without a subject-object experience, without a relational experience, without a faculty of sensing, without a label, without an object it refers to, without a subject that's experiencing it. It's not proper to say it's out there, because that's not how it's experienced. It's not proper to say it's in here, because that's not how it's experienced. It's also not proper to say that it's neither. So language here really does fail. So I use all kinds of pointers. I say it's intimate. I say it's radically alive. I say it's non-dual. I say it's only the seen. Sometimes I say it's the seeing sees. The seeing is doing the seeing. Only sight. But none of these are perfect. None of these are exactly right, because they're words. So if you look at the structure of language, a sentence has a subject, and it has a verb, and sometimes it has an object. So when we're talking about the senses, there's always an implied subject, there's an implied sense modality, and there's an implied object. So when I'm talking about hearing or sound, we assume a hearer or an ear or a mechanism of hearing that involves the cochlea. We assume a sound object out there, that which is heard. Could be sound waves moving through the air, could be the source of the sound waves. And we assume a process, hearing. All of those are assumed by the language. It's just the structure of language. It's dualistic. So understand there are various ways to point that lead to the realization of non-dual. So one that I often point to is that the experience of being a subject in a world of objects is illusory. That overlay of relationship, of relationality, is a mental construct. The mind is doing it all the time. It's always pulling a sense of being a subject back into the subjective pull, which makes things out there seem like specific things in relationship to us. And immediately that allows us to overlay a value system on things. This leads to desire and aversion. But when we really investigate to see, is there actually a subject-object construct? In the experience of seeing, is there a seer somewhere? Is there something that's seen somewhere else? Is there a subject doing the seeing? Is there an object being seen? Does the relationship between those two actually exist in reality? In this, what you're seeing, what's right in front of your face, the scene, however you want to say it, in that immediate experience, do you find a relationship between a subject and an object? Do you find a relationship between something doing the seeing and something being seen? Do you find any sort of relationship? Or does attention have to bounce back into the mind, into the thought process, to extrapolate a relationship? Someone doing the seeing, something out there that's being seen, the inside and outside experience, the self and other experience. Where is that? Is it in the seeing? Or is it in the mind? So this is a way to investigate the subject-object experience. But don't get mixed up with the language. There's no exact way to talk about this because the language itself divides reality into subject, object, and process, which are artificial. Now, even without a subject-object construct operating, the senses, the visual experience of sight, the auditory experience of sound, sensation, etc., they also can be deconstructed. But the way they're deconstructed is much more subtle. It's not seeing that there's no one seeing that. It's not seeing that there's no one hearing that. It's also not seeing that there is no seeing and no hearing, leaving some object out there. It's realizing in a very direct way that not only is the subject-object experience illusory, the mere existence of anything, solidity, perpetuity, here, there, anywhere, is an illusion. Now, this can be accomplished in many ways, but one way is to look into the sense of awareness itself. Is there any sense of awareness apart from the sound? Is there any sense of awareness apart from the colors, forms, shapes? Call it the scene if you want. Call it the seeing. It doesn't actually matter. It's that. Now it's just that. Has no subject-object to it anymore. But is there something there? The appearance itself. Is there anything behind it? The appearance, the scene, is a placeholder, like a symbol. But is it a symbol for anything? Does it have depth? Does it have solidity? Does it have position? Is it perpetuated through time? Is there anything moving toward or away from it? Does it exist in space at all? Is it less or more important than any other apparent object? Does it have meaning? Does it have no meaning? Does it have purpose? Is it purposeless? Is there something seeing it? Is there a process of seeing that refers to it? Is there something out there being seen? You have to see that all of these are equally empty. So we get to this place where there's so little that can be said. When there's no perception or no perceptual distance, there's no approaching, there's no distance, there's no lack of distance. This is neither determinate or indeterminate. There's nothing to reference back to, and there's nothing to reference out there. So the apparent colors and shapes and forms are both radically intimate, radiant, but also without any form whatsoever, without solidity, without location, without temporality. So this is absolutely, completely beyond description. If you're attaching to descriptions here, you're attaching to concepts. There's no right description for this. There's also no wrong description for this. It's just not contingent upon the world of description. It's self-obvious.